acknowledging the historical moment this Pride reading is occurring in. To my mind, what we are being urged to do in this initial episode of the Likhaan's online performance series is to champion queer pride despite or precisely because of the fact that it must happen under a pandemic-specific quarantine. If to be quarantined means to be sequestered or separated from the interpersonal context the community one is typically immersed in, then the very fact of this episode's connectivity confounds it to a certain degree. While as bodies, we may need to be, at this time, distanced from one another, our mediatized selves have, arguably, since the beginning of the lockdown, never been as interlinked or as mutually implicated or as sociable. Nevertheless, I feel that we as queer subjects understand the truth of quarantine in a rather specific and special way. This is because we are all bracingly acquainted with the everyday reality of desire, whose brutalization and thwarting it would seem to be our world's gleeful mission to carry out. As we know, desire is our first and final sequestration, our existential quarantine, for by its very definition, desire cannot ever be fully satisfied or met. This is because we are all essentially exiled from one another into our own singular shapes, whose defining boundary is our skin, the barrier that divides self and other, which makes both possible to begin with. Love, then, is the leap of faith across this chasm, this ontological border, an aspiration toward togetherness, toward oneness, despite the magnificent odds. When we say making love, we mean the enactment of this faith, the performance of this aspiration, even as the most it can actually be is a fictive interfacing of skins, a tactile form of fellowship and encounter in which beloved and lover yearn to mesh and merge into one, but are in fact only slipping past each other on account of the inescapable condition that is their skins. Intuitively, we know how it is. No matter how all-consuming our passion may be, we are all, finally, stumped by that sheath of supple and impenetrable tissue, that corporeal shield of largely dead matter that encloses and shuts either of us out. At the outermost layer of our beings, skin is the end of love. And yet, by the same token, it is also skin that enfolds and enables the heart and its pumping warm willfulness, the hearing eyes, seeing tongue, the clumsiness of nosy fingers. All that one loves and with which one loves are vitally and warmly encased in this living and limpid fabric, without which the body would spill out of itself in what can only be imagined as a kind of primordial chaos. Lining the innermost surfaces of our feeling and many nerve selves, skin is the beginning of love. I believe that it is one of the lessons of queerness that despite the impermeability of our skin's necessary fictions and frictions, still and all, we remain perfectly capable of loving and being loved. Only because in our tight-fisted world, queers must remain ever desirous, we understand that recognizing love's solitude isn't necessarily denying its existence, nor our inextinguishable need to experience it. And so, for this Pride reading, here are two poems about the encumbrance and the radiance of desire. Desire, the condition of our very possibility, of our being and our becoming in this dear and fugitive life. Bearing the body. Who can bear the body when all it is desire, and desire is the truest of gravities, pulled and pulling all to itself? I know how desire grounds the will, its bulk pressing us into forgetfulness, which some say is the same thing as bliss. I can imagine the body falling into the softest pith of its desiring, the way I bring myself closer and closer to the fiction of its edges, only because I know they exist. And I can feel you offering your body to the hunger of every other body against which it rubs, trusting you too might lose it to friction's terrible joy. Tonight, the indifferent world pushes up at my feet, and you've stepped out of its shadows to join me in this sadness. If you no longer want your body, by all means, let me keep it. In the light of the humpbacked moon, I shall move past all sense, bend over in sweet prayer to anoint it. It shall be my God, my new form and matter of worship. Losing or trying to outrun my body tells only half of the story. Love, the small of your back is the horizon toward which my swinging weight dreams. Melu. Why must it be strange that a world should spring from an itch? Melu, creator of the Likhaan, was as black as a stone's pure heart. In the first twilight he rose, his eyes and teeth glinting like stars in the horizonless sky. Sensing a gap all over his body, he discovered he desired nothing but to rub himself with his hands. Palm against skin he scratched and stroked, and flake by sheer flake the earth drifted away from his shape, to gather in a heap below him. As he rubbed and his rubbings fell, he felt himself grow lighter and whiter. Soon he was invisible as air, floating above the crumbled shell of his old self. This story tells us creation is the body shorn clean of a God's brilliant need for formlessness. We cannot help but wonder, as our skins slip past each other in this life, do we not help this first sacrifice to proceed, its work a sacred duty meant for us all along? Out of love or pain, and every time our edges touch, we grind our itchy bodies hard against this world's darkness, praying we too may know light. A happy Pride to everyone, and thank you all for listening.
Hello po, ako po si Jan Irimil Teodoro na magbabasa ng aking 3 bagong tula. Mahigit na tayong 3 buwan na naka-quarantine dito sa Metro Manila, at ako po ay naka-quarantine dito ngayon sa bahay namin sa Rosario, Pasig. No, at nitong nakaraang buwan, para hindi ako mabaliw ay sulat ako ng sulat, no? Kasi sa totoo lang nakakabaliw yung mga balita sa radyo, sa TV, at ang nangyayari mismo sa ating bansa ngayon. So marami akong nasulat ng mga tula, pero pipiliin kong basahin sa inyo, no, ang mga tulang tungkol sa kagandahan, no? Kasi labis na labis ang kapangitan ngayon sa ating paligid, at tungkol sa pag-asa. Yung unang tulang babasahin ko ay Binamangatang Tagsibol. Sinulat ko ito noong Pebrero bago mag-quarantine, pero ng mga panahong yun, balitang-balita na ang COVID-19 na kumakalat sa buong daigdig. So ito na po yung tula, Tagsibol. Hayaan na mga agsitubo ang mga damong namumulaklak sa parang ng aking dila. Makulay at mabango ang mga tula ng pagmamahal na pipitisin natin upang ilagay sa garapon ng ating puso. Maging dalisay ang ating ligaya katulad ng liebre na nanginginain ng mga damong may bulaklak na puti sa paligid ng isang bahay sulatan sa malayong Linhobda. Payak ang kabusugan na nagpapasalamat ng kaluluwa. Yung Linhobda po, ito po yung lugar ng aking kapatid sa southern part ng Sweden na binisita kong 2016. No? At doon sa likod ng kanilang bahay, may munting kubo, maliit na cottage, at ginawa kong writing cabin yon. No? At inari ko na rin na akin yon, no? Kahit na hindi naman. At habang naka-quarantine dito sa bahay sa Pasig, ay iniisip ko palagi, no, yung linhopta, no? Kasi para sa akin yun yung representasyon, no, ng isang magandang buhay, no, ng isang buhay na malaparaiso. Syempre hindi naman paraiso yun, no? Dahil sa ngayon malaki din yung problema sa Europe, no, ng migrant crisis, at yung Sweden mismo ay medyo controversial, no, kanilang pinili na sistema ng paglaban sa COVID-19, no, yung herd immunity, no. Pero yung kapatid ko naman at ang aking pamangkin at ang aking brother-in-law sa Sweden ay okay naman sila, no. Saka yung mga Swedish naman talaga ay magaling sa physical distancing noon pa man, no? Hindi pa man uso yung salita, ginagawa na nila, no. Yung pangalawang tula ay yung pista ng pagkabuhay, no. Tungkol naman ito sa Easter Sunday. Syempre hindi ako nakapagprosesyon ngayong Holy Week, no, kasi hindi ako nakauwi sa Antique, no. So sumulat na lamang ako ng tula, no, at habang nagsulat ako ng tula tungkol sa Easter Sunday dito sa Pasig, ay iniisip ko pa rin yung Sweden. Pista ng pagkabuhay. Muling nabuhay ang mga crocus sa likod ng aking writing cabin sa malayong Sweden. Nagbibigay ng kakaibang galak sa aking katawang lupa at ng pag-asa sa nangangambang hardin ng aking kaluluwa dito sa Pasig. Ngayong may malubhang sakit ang buong mundo, mas madaling magalit sa sangkatauhan o di kaya'y ibigin ang lahat ng nilalang. Tayo ang pipili, katulad ng pagpili ng isang tao ng kamatayan sa krus upang muling mabuhay pagkatapos sa 3 araw at maging Diyos. Isang desisyon ang kailangan nating gawin kung nais nating makaligtas lahat, katulad ng pagpasya ng mga crocus na muling sumibol pagkatapos ng mahabang taglamig. Yung pangatlong tula naman na babasahin ko ay tungkol naman ito sa bulaklak ng mansanas sa Linhopda. Kasi yung kapatid ko nagpo-post palagi, no, kapag may bagong sibol na bulaklak sa kanilang bakuran o sa farm ng kanyang mother-in-law, no, kasi alam nila na gusto ko yung bulaklak, no. So pinapadalhan nila ako palagi ng mga bagong sibol na bulaklak sa harap ng kanilang bahay at lalo na sa paligid, no, sa aking writing cabin doon. Namumulaklak ang mga mansanas sa Linhopda. Kumakaway ang puti nilang mga talulot, nag-iimbita na magpasilong sa kanilang lilim upang samyuin ang iniaalay nilang bango ng pagigugma kahit may pandemya. Tag-araw na sa Severie at tag-ulan dito sa Pilipinas. Kada hapon bumubuhos ang ulan dito sa hardin ko sa Pasig. Naghahanda na ang Metro Manila sa unti-unting pagbubukas matapos ng sobra sa 3 buwan na kwarentina. Ang paglabas ng bahay na wala pang bakuna kontra COVID-19, isang pagkagat sa mansanas ng kapalaran. Maraming salamat po. Pero bago ako magpaalam, nais ko munang i-promote ang aking mga 3 bagong libro. Ito po yung Somar Blumore, Poems Written in Europe, inilathala po ng University of Santo Tomas Publishing House. At ito naman po, Sadsada na Pihapihan, mga kwento ng pag-ibig, inilathala ng UP University of the Philippines Press. At ito po, yung 12 poems ko na inilathala ng Sereno Books. So, maraming salamat at paalam.
Hello, my name is Nerissa del Carmen Guevara. I'm a teacher, a writer, and a performance artist. I am recording this on the 100th day of the quarantine. And my experience of it has been interesting, to say the least. I felt time and space to be the same thing, had things happening in duration, and felt my body in imposed spaces imposed by both the government and science. As a queer person, to exist is already resistance. So this body, this voice, being itself already resists. So I feel my poems and my art intervene in space and time and in a heteronormative world. I will be reading you 2 love poems because to love is already resistance. My first poem is Short Songs. Short songs. In my mouth, you are a soft tuft of grass, the edge of the shore at midnight, stumbling over sand dunes, falling face first into froth. My face is wet with your sadness. My tongue tastes cold, small waves, in each one the heart of noon. O love, let me speak into you, take me on, float against my longing. Let me murmur, let me tell you a long story with my hands. In my hotel room, a river winds away in a painting over the old TV. I wake up and try not to fall in. The river moves away over stones, over roots of trees, has fish squirming in the cold, green and greening, dark gills flapping open, closing like prayers in the eddying shock. Lie there, open. 2 girls come with their baskets. They catch fish with both hands. Their bodies disturb the cold with their warm delight, dresses flowing in the currents over their thighs with their short songs. I close my arms around your waist and think of swimming, push myself into you gliding, fingers first rippling through, breaking the surface. Let me press myself into your understanding that girls swim in rivers together for heat, and fish are fresh when slippery. Hold me with both hands. Thank you. My second poem is an intervention in a popular poem by a national artist. This poem is called Psy XY. Psy XY. All that I love. The candle, the table, the chair where I sit, the lover in front of me saying she is not what she is as she looks through the window where the sidewalk flits beside, cat-like. I sit, cat-like, still in her perception, something other than myself in this dress. I fold over once, bend, revealing a cleave, lace, catching her eye, drift into the seeming never-ending dance of wills and frills. She grins like a Cheshire cat. I refer to the book, the tale, the rabbit hole where I have fallen. Oh, Alice, Alice, how could you? And once again, bend to the swift changing mood of her thighs. A sigh is not what bothers me. The window has a sill. Hold on. And keep in a box the cotton smell of her, the lost way, the touch of her hands, the words taken from me, my place, or a slit in a hollow post, iridescent wings, or in my shoe, my escape. All that I love, the question mark is a turn in the river where close by a bench holds its place. Why, yes, but for the moment, caught in a sunset long coming at 8 p.m., how does one hold a smile? And for all time both, the shimmer of a city will be left on our skin, the colors dictated by time of day or night, the season. Maybe the wind will pass between us, a few or many words. It is too early to tell. Something that folds and keeps easy. Your pants neatly by the bed, your shirt not as neat, crumpled like a peony. Son's note or dad's one gaudy tie. You once told me about your father and how you were like a son killing the chickens by wringing their necks, but your dress got in the way of so much of what was needed for you to be, what you thought you always were. A roto picture of a young queen sits on your dresser table, placed by your mother to emulate, to impale yourself on, to become. But you scratched between your legs and itch a budding, not flower, something else. A blue Indian shawl even, keening on the banister, without the smooth olive shoulders of that woman you watched over and over, passing through your wet childhood dreams, haunts you still. A money bill, left in your father's pants pocket, enough for sweets, you fished it out as the soap ran white over the cold small rapids of the river, where you rubbed your father's pants on the stones and your thighs, wanting to fit in them, greater than all longing. It is utter sublimation, how in the dark one can be anyone or anything, eyes closed. You are the man between my thighs, between whatever passes as love. You push, hungry and unyielding. A feat, this heart's control. Hold, there, again, hold. Moment to moment, what cannot be yields to something more primal. Gaslights flicker under the light of the moon. Squid hunting while we stay on the shore in the dark holding hands as the moon shines full. We do not look like lovers, merely sister shadows, leaning against each other, waiting for the squid. To scale all love down, the squid hunters wade to shore with their catch. In this memory, you pretend to be invisible, a god not goddess, holding the nets, offering the catch to the world. To a cupped hand size. This is the blood of my son I have given up to the world. This is the blood of my son I have given up to the world. Blood flows between your thighs, a river you never liked, a valley you wished was mountain. Till seashells are broken pieces. In daylight, the shore is strewn with and glimmers incessantly. We could almost be brave. Hip to hip, the easy laughter in your eyes. From God's own bright teeth, even the smallest of affections is divine, though broken. All life and love are real. I grow smaller with your disbelief, enough to fit things you can run and turn over, flip like a coin. breathless, hand over my life back. To the merest child, I wanna say, watch yourself change. Thank you. Welcome to Ganap.
Hello, I'm Carlo Mark Dawana. I'll be reading two poems from my recent poetry collection, The Elegant Ghost. Hope you like it, and happy Pride Month, everyone. Happiness. In my frequent days of living alone, I make room for the bed where we coordinated our sleep. Our shed skin staining the sheets the color of weak tea. We were aspirants to an otherworldly kind of peace, though a fraction of me, mute and subconscious, worried that you may leap from the bed, figure out the locks, and run headlong to the outside, car lights pulsing against your lids. You sleepwalk once, you told me, ending in a park where a swing, rusting in its chains, twisted and creaked. On the mattress, we moved and parried like twins. I look at our nightly conclusions not with wonderment, but doubt. How did we ever manage such an arrangement when, the morning after, we would assume our old faces with little or no reluctance? I credit our little dance before we slept, I cooking something for two, us sharing dinner and small talk, you washing the dishes. This went on for years. I would watch you at the sink, your back shirtless to me. I loved your waved hair, your slight shoulders, your thin and questioning arms. Suds braceleting your wrists strained under a faucet, you lifted the plate like a slice of mineral, translucent and semi-precious. You were vivid in fluorescent light. Not once did I mention and call it the only thing it was. Part 7 of the poem, Seven Torsos. You are a composite of all I have held and taken in by mouth. Rising in front of me with your slender shape, with all its indentions and concavities, you bestow upon each and every knot of my spine a radiant kindness. Your skin mottles scarlet with my touch, rare and extravagant fruit. I wish I could match your stamina and dignity, the deep, intoxicating musk of you. But I have grown absent-minded and rickety. The moon outside turns, a rusty wheel. The bed creaks. I catch myself looking at you with your eyes closed. But always you soothe me. You usher me to an enveloping space, snug as a body. You point to me, the inner fields shrieking with a carpet of tender wild flowers. You place upon my head a crown of fireflies. You pour into me all the syllables I need to answer back to the world.
My material as a lesbian usually comes out as prose, so I have very few poems directly about it. While our wanderlust is placed on hold, here's a poem about both travel and lesbian love. Mine, these gifts. That year you gave me a silk scarf from Rome, saying you didn't get anything from me, that it was yours, really, but you wanted me to have it anyway. On the day you left, I wore it for you, even though it didn't go with anything in my closet. White with beige edges, orange and lavender tulips at the center, girded by a circle in black of Roma, Roma, Roma. When I folded it into a triangle, I saw in the mirror the word amor strewn across the white. I knew you had not intended that as a message, but it hung anyway from my neck in a loose knot with style. It called to mind someone who gave me a wooden fan she had picked up, forlorn, from a pew in St. Peter's Basilica, green and hand-painted with blue and red and yellow flowers. She said she knew at once I would love it, that it was mine. Mine, these gifts I keep in a box, not of all that I love, for they only remind me of all I could not have for one reason or another. What I do have, unintended images bouncing off surfaces by accident, a fleeting breeze from a thing lost and found amid the tangled prayers of pilgrims, a chance given to be together, a way to see what is not there and not to see what is there, a way to keep what is not mine. I've been stranded in Manila since the start of the lockdown, partly by choice, because I wanted to spend time with my partner Camille. But neither of us realized the lockdown would last this long and that I wouldn't be able to go home to Davao, where my children are. Meanwhile, I also made final revisions to my PhD dissertation on lesbian writing practice in our mighty university, defended it online, and I am now waiting for the official report of the examiners. All this has felt like solitary confinement, so I'd like to read my sonnet called Doing Time. All jails have windows, double-edged boon, a torture sweeter than steel bars and chains. Wings stirring wind, a fingernail of moon, mirage of wide expanse that window feigns. Reading you, amado, I see the glare of sun in eyes transfixed by window high, the one designed to magnify despair, but which taught you magnitude of sky. Not God nor promise of Bastille saved you. You knew what stanza truly meant. This room of words was space enough. You conjured blue without a rope, a vine, or magic broom. Thus I learned to glide with voice through walls of countries with no doors, and not to fall. This last piece, a prose poem, appears in the Tingle Anthology of Pinay Lesbian Writing, which I edited and hope will still come out from Anvil Publishing this year. Note that it is not about my present partner. What I think about while I'm going down on you. When you're going to come. The saffron threads I found at the supermarket today, and what I can use them for. My Tita Sonia's specialty, beef shank bulalo stewed for 6 hours in a sour soup. Your husband singing, "Please release me." in your living room, to the delight of his police posse who are munching on chicharron dipped in spiced vinegar. Are you coming yet? Your lesson about sunk cost. The past 3 months, the Lumix camera I've been wanting to buy. What's taking you so long? How much I'm going to pay tomorrow.
Welcome po sa KABOG Pride Poetry Reading. Ako po si Joey Bakiran, manunulat ng tula. Bibigkas po ako ng 2 akda tungkol sa lungkot at sa 3 hiling. Yung una po ay panganib ng HIV at yung pangalawa ay panganib ng unrequited love. Lungkot. Papasukin ka ng lungkot kung papayag ka. Nandyan lang naman kasi yan. Lungkot ng pag-iisa, lungkot na hindi makadama ng totoo, lungkot na kung bakit nakakadama ka ng lungkot. Isang malaking piraso yata ng lungkot ang mundo. At sino ang hindi papayag na makatakas dito kahit sandali? At kung may tsansa ka, lalo na at blankong-blanko ka, pero dumating na ang pagkakataon na pwede mo nang makuha ang gusto mo sa sukat na gusto mo. Bakit nga hindi? Bisikleta ang maipanlalayo sa lungkot. Naghahanap ito ng pasahero. Sabi nito, sakay na. Masarap akong upuan. Matikas ang balangkas. Makisig ang mga rayos. Malilimot mo ang lungkot kahit sandali. Dadalhin kita sa glorieta. May malinis na tubig, sariwang hangin. Kahit sandali, mapapawi ang pait. Karayom ang maipanlilimot sa lungkot. Sabi nito, malilikha ko ang agos ng kasiyahan, ang paggaan ng pakiramdam, ang pagkabuo ng lugod. Simple lang kasi ang pagtanggal sa pulupot ng lungkot na nakabalabal dyan sa iyong noo. Oo, kaakit-akit ang bisikleta, pero pwede kang sumemplang. Mortal ka lang na nakasakay. Pwede namang tanggalin na lang ang buhol na nakapulupot sa iyong noo. Kasi hindi matatanggal ng lungkot ang kapwa lungkot. 3 hiling. Saksi ang pawisang bote sa pagtatapat ng binata sa kapwa binata. Narinig nito ang tugon. Pumakla itong bir. Lusaw na tanso ang gumuhit sa lalamunan ng mangingibig. Tumakas ang espiritu pero hindi tunupad ang alinman sa hiling. Pag-ibig, pag-ibig, pag-ibig.